Hello, ladies and gents out there. This is Ampdpanda from the Ampdpanda channel. Welcome to episode 2 of the Ampdpanda podcast. My name is Ampdpanda. How are you today? Hopefully your day is going well. Everybody's rich and champagne has fallen from the heavens on this wonderful week that we have today, second week of June. Well, after the first successful episode I did last week, we're going to continue moving on with additional episodes with the Ampdpanda podcasts, all because not of all the stories and everything and everyone telling me that I should start a podcast, but because YouTube sent me an email starting with, hey, you should start a podcast. Here's how to do it. So we're going to continue with this to see how everybody likes it, how people enjoy it. If you enjoy this podcast as we walk through it, then feel free to hit the like, subscribe button on the YouTube channel, as well as any other medium that you're listening this on. It's all helpful, and it does make things much easier for me as far as becoming an affiliate for and partner for YouTube. But anyway, let's get into it. And this week, we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about Twitch. We're going to talk about aliens and anything else that pops up in between, which can be a lot of things that pop up in between because, let's just face it, aliens and Twitch, they kind of go hand in hand and connect, I'm sure, somehow. So we're going to talk about that today, mainly just because it's been going viral and all over the place. If you're on Twitter, if you're on the Instagrams, if you're on the news, if you're listening and watching the local news network, you've probably heard about this story that's kind of been going around. And it's a very interesting story and one that I continue to stop at or read about and try to learn more about, because it's just very interesting that this particular story itself is going around viral and everybody everywhere is talking about it and wants to know more about it, yet all the information is scarce. There's even been a few things here added in between from some folks trying to make the story even more interesting. But it is nice that this sort of, newsworthy information is finally starting to kind of catch wind here in the States versus other places across the world, because I've always been a fan of it with my personal incident when it comes to seeing UFOs. So UFOs is kind of it feels like it's a little bit more of an older term, but folks do use it. It's known as unidentified flying object. But now most places use what's called the short term UAP, which is an unidentified aerial phenomenon, which the government has known to actually report and put in its documents and all that information to kind of signify something unidentified in the air, or aerial in this case, and then basically signify that if it's an object or not. Some cases they use that as a term mainly just because of the fact they're not sure if they can say that this is a object that is unidentified or just a phenomenon, like an effect, like something is in the air causing all the hooty-wuddies and all the crazy light shows that you see that could be causing things. A nice example is actually watching I'll admit something to you. It's a secret of mine. Don't tell anybody unless you're listening. Just don't say it. But I do watch Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch, and I very much enjoy it with me and my wife as we continue to watch it, because Skinwalker Ranch is just an interesting, unidentifiable phenomenon on its own that is on the history and A&E and all that stuff. It's kind of similar to the whole, Ancient Aliens and that whole kind of genre and folks and sciences and information and data and things. And it just, watching Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch, which I recommend it if you haven't watched it, even though the shooting of it is not, it's not bad. It's actually really good documentary information. There are some parts of it that I always wonder about for how they kind of, are able to capture some things the way that they do, but they are able to capture things in a good scientific way with scientific method with our guy Travis, Brandon, and a bunch of other guys there on the ranch, which are the owners and individuals that are doing the investigation on the ranch, which is really cool. But anyway, they use the term UAP, or unidentifiable aerial phenomenon, pretty constantly in order to signify what we're used to in the term UFOs, at least back in the day. So UAP is used much more often now in order to signify unidentifiable kind of effects in the air and whatnot than UFO. So it's interesting that it's being done that way. Anyway, why am I telling you all this? Why are we talking about aliens? Well, it's because there has been a report that's been going on about the Las Vegas UFO crash, or at least UFO report that's been going across the YouTubes, across the Twitters, across the Instagrams, and everything like that, where police actually responds in Las Vegas, where they actually respond to this 911 call that's been claimed from this family and set of folks. And what's just very interesting about it is that there's a lot of evidence, a lot of reporting, a lot of things that come up, and I feel like there's things about this that make it very interesting that signify whether or not this could be something like, I'm sure something has happened. I just have a hard time believing someone would even go out on a limb and say, hey, I'm going to call 911 and report these 8-9 foot creatures and then get it spread around and not take credit for it. But anyway, so let's go ahead and recount what's happening. So on the body cam footage that they have through a number of reports, it's more than just one. It seems like a lot are using different sources. Some are using CNN, some are using USA Today, some are using a few other sources here that is just very different, very interesting. But essentially what happens is there's this family. It sounds like there's 3 individuals, a son, a father, and even a mother that is out there, and even some friends, at least based on the body cam footage, that are talking, and basically they call 911 to report that there was a green flash in the sky that landed in their backyard. And what's interesting is that the police footage actually has a portion of their body cam footage that actually catches a flash of green that happens, at night, which there are some reports out there. There are some UFO reports in other places that correlate with each other very similarly. But what makes this even more interesting is, even though they called and said that was happening, they also followed up with the dispatcher, which has been recorded, that the caller themselves are reporting an 8, 9, 10 foot creature. Not a human, not anything like that, but a creature. And they're saying that as we're talking to the dispatcher, and it comes down to it, they basically start saying they have 2 subjects in their backyard. And they're indicating that they're 8, 9, 10 foot, which, if judging from height sizes, I'd probably be the same way. They start indicating that they look like aliens with big eyes and big mouth, and they're 100% not human. That's exactly verbatim what they mentioned on their call. And with that, the police officers, kind of respond to this message after they get it. And part of the reason is because even the partner of the police, one of the 2 police officers, even mentions to his partner in a body cam footage that he's got butterflies in his stomach because he's so nervous, because he did see actually green flash at night around the area. And as they go there, they start talking with the folks. They start asking, getting more questions. The actual family there and folks and individuals that called, it was about 40 minutes afterwards. They swear to God that it's real and that it's in their backyard. And there is some more footage. And what's crazy about this is that not all the information is in one actual article. Like, it's crazy to me. I had to look for some articles to find the body cam footage from the police when they go and talk to them in beforehand. I had to find another one to actually have. A lot of them have kind of that voiceover of the call that happens, where basically they're saying that, they've been called on and they have, these aliens in the backyard and there are two of them, and they have it with that dispatcher going. But there's also another video that indicates, and it actually shows on there, that they're looking in their backyard with a forklift, and in that body cam footage, it shows very, very small and tiny, and they didn't start there. They walked their way back there, but they're pointed across their backyard through a gate that they open. There's a car that's there, and then there's a forklift in the back. And the details, at least in the comments and individuals, and even the folks there, is indicating that, hey, they're right there, and I see them, and they're talking. One of them's in the forklift. I could see it right now. And looking at the video itself, it's not super convincing to me. I've seen videos of other UFO things and other UFO reports that I feel like they're just a bit better in the sense of what they show clarity-wise, which I'm not going to say there hasn't been. I don't think there's been good video footage, probably just as blurry as Bigfoot out there, that actually shows that the aliens are around and about, unless it's a fake or a hoax, which there is. You got to be careful out there too. There is some articles, there is some actual articles out there, posts, tweets, whatnot, that are blending, where someone actually blended a Blender 3D image that looks like it's a backyard cam that's in at night, kind of with night vision, black and white, that's showing an 8-9 foot tall alien, which it's not real. It's already been indicated as a hoax. It actually came from TikTok, which I'm going to go on a rant here. I can't stand TikTok. All the misinformation that comes from TikTok just drives me insane. Just all the bad things that it does for our children and everything like that. Just makes them do stupid pranks and terrible things. But I digress. I'm not going to get to that. We'll just hold that for another topic. But that information actually was cut in and merged in with some of the footage for the forklift. And there was a tweet that was going out for that on Twitter. There was also some places on Instagram that was trying to say and take credit that, this is the actual creature, and it's not. So if you do your own research, if you look this up, just know that has been indicated as a hoax in many cases. It's fake. It's not real. The reports from the family, the body cam footage, that looks like that's real, and that looks like it kind of indicates it, which the video footage of the backyard and the forklift, I'm still not entirely convinced. I've just tried. I replayed it about 50 times, and I can't see it. Apparently there's some, if you look real close, the comments and everyone is saying that the individuals that they reported on, the 8, 9, 10 foot aliens out there, are talking to each other. One of them is in the forklift, which I don't see it. The one thing that's also been confirmed, though, that is really great is not just the dispatcher call, not just the body cam footage, but also the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department's Communications Center event search will show this, as well as some of the police reports, that this has been reported, and it has been reported with the information that correlates with the call and the response. It even talks about how even the subjects that they're looking for is either in a forklift or about the area that they're going to, and how they were responded to it. Granted, the information is redacted, as well as some of the body cam footage, which is redacted, which is strange to me because I've seen a lot of body cam footage, from other police calls and news reports and things, and they hardly redact anything. Like, They did for some of the shootings and stuff like that, which unfortunately is the worst thing in the world and still comes up periodically. But even the school shooting that was performed redacted some parts for that, and that definitely explains why and is a good idea. But in this case, though, they redacted a lot and blurred out a lot because they were saying it was private property, which I guess that's true, but I have yet to see a lot of body cam footage from police officers in there out there that being redacted like that. So it's interesting to me that would happen that way and that information was completely redacted. A little bit more than what I'm used to, which leads me to think that maybe there's some legitimacy here. But I don't know. That's a tough line to go down because you could say, well, if anything's redacted, then it's all true, and it's really, really not. But anyway, I will put the report of the stories down in the description, depending on where you're viewing this from. It is from USA Today. It's from CNN. It is from sources like 8 News Now, which I have no idea is. Let's see. Yes, CNN and a few others. And there's just a lot of information of this being passed around. It's probably going to start dying down here if it hasn't already. As you know, this report actually came in May 1st of this year when the call and everything came in and just kind of came up in fruition to the all the Twitters, the social medias and stuff, probably around June 7th, June 8th, and a few other places like that. So that's the craziest part with this. My personal experience was very, very different in the sense of when I used to live in upstate New York on a hill in this kind of wooded area where if you live in upstate New York, you understand that upstate is actually not upstate. It's actually south of the state. So it's close to the Pennsylvania area. So it's very wooded, very mountainous. It's it's just very serene and, you know, kind of in its own boondocks and whatnot. And it's just in the middle of nowhere. And I remember growing up as a kid and there's very many things about this house. This house I lived in was a pretty old house, but it's basically in the middle of the woods. There's about three neighbors actually, 3 houses across the street from us. There's one directly next to us that is kind of on a further up the hill. It's almost like they carved out the hill, put 2 little plateaus, and then houses in it. And then on the left side of our house is a ravine that goes into the woods with a little wooded area. And actually it was a really nice area that I got to see a lot of, you know, deer. It's just very serene. It's beautiful. It's pretty. And, you know, it's cold because it's New York, but it's also beautiful during the springtime. And as a teenager, you know, going through middle school to high school, there was one night in particular where we have a set of 3 windows that look across the hill into kind of the valleyway with where the road is, and it's very pretty. It's actually one of the things I remember the most, and it is one of the things I miss the most because it was a beautiful, nice, huge picture window in the front. You could just see everything out there. When the weather was right and I wasn't dying from allergies or anything like that, it was a wonderful place to be, especially at night, because you saw the clouds and everything, and you got to see, it almost looked like the vast mountains, misty mountains of, you know, Middle Earth and Mordor and everything like that. And this place was really sweet. But anyway, this house was built over a well, which is kind of scary in its own. You go in the basement, there's actually an abandoned well. It looks like they tried to be where all the water comes from, and it's not. It's just an abandoned one. There's another set of groundwater that, you know, you actually get your water from. Just the whole thing was just very serene, very distant. You are all by yourself in this house, and this house is like let's see, one, two, three. It's got 3 bedrooms. It's got a big living room. It's got a nice kitchen. And on the back of that plateau, they kind of carved out is there's a small yard that is surrounded by huge pine trees. And I remember standing out in the living room, finishing up a movie and whatnot. It gets really dark. And I remember finishing up the movie and turning off the TV, about ready to turn around and head to bed. And through those 3, nice little pane glass windows off that's looking over the area, I just remember this flashing orb of light that came close to the house. And it's crazy to me because a lot of times those things those windows are crept open. In this case, it was. And usually you can kind of hear the sounds and the engines and everything that's happening. Dead silent. Not even crickets, not even anything that you're used to hearing. It's just dead silent. And that was just a bit ominous to me, obviously, and a little scary. But seeing this orb of light, it starts moving erratically to the point where it starts going back and forth and back and forth. And in kind of looks like in a unnatural method of flying, to the point where literally it just kind of starts teleporting. And then what happens is it goes in a dead stop for a few seconds and then acts like it starts heading closer and closer and closer to the house. And this is just solid light. There's no flashing lights. It's just got multiple colors, red, orange, and white. And it starts getting closer and closer to the house. And I opened the window. I've been watching it. I had a terrible and very cheaply made flip phone at the time. Yes, I know, flip phone. That did have a camera at the time. It did video record some footage, but it just could not expose correctly. It could not get the image even on the video camera. And I just remember it was coming closer and closer. No sound, dead silent, as it came closer to the house. And probably about 200, 300 feet away, it comes closer and it looks like it's a helicopter. I'm thinking, oh, okay, it's just a helicopter, I'm sure. But it stops. And there's no rotating. There's no sound still. I just see a little searchlight. Thinking to myself, yeah, you're crazy. It's nothing. It's just probably just some super silent, fancy helicopter of new technology I don't know anything about. Until finally, it looks like the spotlight is coming closer, and then all of a sudden, big flash, and it's gone. My Alexa and Siri wants to talk to me. And all of a sudden, it just disappears. And then what makes it even more nervous for me is you can start hearing the crickets. You can start hearing the sounds. You can start hearing the noise just from the natural state of the forest at that point. And the sky is just clear as could be. There's not a single cloud in there. And that's my story when it comes to UFOs. This happened when I was about 16, 15 years old, if I remember correctly. So it's been a crazy thing. So XCOM is coming, folks. XCOM is real. Make sure you got enough time units. Your spray and prays are good, and your snapshots are accurate, because we're gonna need it here when it comes to aliens when they come by your doorstep. Or, just bring them in and offer them a beer. Maybe they'll sit down and drink with you. Who knows? But they probably can read your mind anyways if we start getting to that point. But anyway, last story for today. Twitch. It's a popular subject that's being discussed yet again for all of the downfalls, all of the problems and issues that has been coming up as of late. There's a few reports, a lot of, social media reports as well. And it's a scary, scary thing that's being done, and I'm not the biggest fan of it. I really hate it. I hate the way that it's being handled. I hate the way that it occurs, and I hate the way that it just continues to happen with this company and what they're doing with streamers and everyone else involved. The reason why I bring it up, though, today is because, also it's a comment. Right now, I'm not going to be doing any sort of Twitch streaming, just going to be doing streaming on YouTube. So if you do know where the Ampdpanda channel is, hit subscribe. You'll get notified as long as you have notifications set up when I'm live. Usually I do about Tuesdays and Thursdays. Sometimes I got to change up the schedule. Sometimes I do more. And sometimes being a dad with a new daughter in the world takes over my life. So sometimes I don't get a chance to even do that. But if you keep on there, you'll see me post all that information there. Why am I bringing this up? Well, one of the things I tweeted about, and one of a fellow creator, his name is Harris Heller, actually had a live stream on Twitch recently discussing this matter. And basically there was a Twitch staff member. He was on a live stream, and this individual started talking in chat and basically started saying, "Hey, I love you, but I would like to talk to you one-on-one sometime." And, verbatim. And he's like, "I disagree with you, but I love you, but exceptions and things." And the way that it's indicated there is terrible, because he keeps saying, but, you're wrong, but you're also not wrong, but you just have the wrong assumptions. But he doesn't say that you're wrong. He just says your assumptions are way off, which is the same thing as saying but. And it starts taking over his stream. At least this is also the thing that's kind of carrying around from Harris Heller, who, very, very nice guy. I've watched him several times. He's also known as the stream doctor in the early days to help your streams and do really well. I'll probably give him a little bit of a link plug in there as well. Not that I have much of a following. He's got more followers than I do, but that's okay. It's just to recite sources and to show, kind of what he's been experiencing. But the reason I bring this up is he goes further as this staff member starts taking over, and like the chat in itself, and Harris starts to look through and then even tries to ban the member. And this is the scary part of the whole thing. This is a Twitch staff member, and they're using their programs, their software, their capabilities, and he's being banned on his live stream, hitting the ban button to try to get him to stop overtaking it, because he's not stopping. He's still going. And the problem is, he even says, "Wow, you tried to ban me." He even ends it with "Wow, and I'm a Twitch staff member and you can't do that." And it's like, what? Like, when that happened, Harris was really good with his, kind of his thoughts and his ideas. And also, he was a really pleasant and nice guy when it came to dealing with this subject on his live stream. And he went ahead and just killed the stream because he just could not handle or could not deal with what he needed to do with this type of abuse of power and harassment. And that's literally what it is. And this is where it fuels me to the brim of anger and hatred and problems with this, because Twitch in itself should have safeguards, safety nets, and things like this, where they should not be having staff interfere with live streams. If the live stream is on and it is not shut down, if the person, the content creator, is not banned, there should be no reason a staff member should be in there, unless it's for some promotion, unless it's to better help whatever they're promoting, unless it's a partner that they kind of went with that is looking to promote some feature or whatnot. Not just a staff member coming on to someone's stream to talk about things and tell them they're way wrong. Totally and utterly unacceptable. It shows that not only is their safety precautions, their processes, their flows are completely wrong in this case, it just kind of shows that they don't care. And it just kind of undermines everything that safety boards, all that stuff that they designate for Twitch, that they're saying, we're trying to give you a better Twitch and we're trying to give you all these things to better your live streams. It completely negates all of that, because literally this is a sense of revenge, in the sense of this person disagreeing with a content creator coming onto their stream and then literally trying to deviate, digress, destroy it, and change everything. And then, just saying like, oh, well, you're the bad guy, bro, for trying to ban me. And it's like, come on now. You shouldn't even be there in the first place. You should be going there in the official channels, or even talking to them behind the scenes, not literally doing that in front of folks on a live stream. If they are allowing this to happen, especially with Twitch, their own policies and procedures are completely gone off the rails, because they should have these things to prevent any sort of abuse of power from employees and staff members to not go on someone's stream and to not be bannable and to not use any sort of superpowers. It's like a developer going into a video game and actually using their developer powers for it, which they've probably gotten more retribution and problems with individuals that have done that now than here at Twitch, which is the most ridiculous thing in the world. It is not something that should be happening. It is not acceptable, and I just wouldn't stand for it. Good man to the old Harris there, who's able to handle that very well with, very good professionalism, very good manners, and he handles it in probably the best way possible, because I don't know anybody else that could have handled that even better, because what a gentleman, I will say, sir. And I'm not sure if you're going to hear this at all, but if you do, props to you. Very happy that you were able to handle that as you did. With that being said, that's all we're going to talk about today. Aliens are here, Twitch is going crazy, and, the year moves on as we continue to do. But don't take my word for it. Just continue to enjoy your life, continue to enrich it, and continue to do great and wonderful things. Diablo 4 is also here if you haven't played that, which is wonderful. Just stay away from those microtransactions. I hate them. They anger me to the greatest extent of all. But you could call me stubborn for not switching to the modern day of microtransactions. But anyway, that's the end of the podcast for episode 2, Aliens, Twitch, and more on the Ampdpanda podcast. If you enjoyed this and you liked listening to my lovely voice, which I'm sure is probably the best thing that's happened to you today, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. And then I will see you in the next podcast next week as we talk about other things. Take care. Have a great night. I will see you soon. Goodbye.